My name is Scott, and I have lived in Utah almost my entire life, and it is my home state, and I've helped countless people make that move to Utah successfully as well. And with all that being said, I can't help but realize that if I were moving to Utah, I would want to know certain things about making the move. And it's my job as somebody who guides people and brings people here to make sure that I'm offering the very best advice, but also to help you find out the things that you really need to and want to know so that you can avoid the pitfalls, the mistakes, and of course the heartache and the regrets that come if you're not properly prepared. And I view my job as something that's actually really important to make sure that as I help people and clients make that move to the state of Utah, that I'm addressing all of their needs, their lifestyle, their emotions, everything that comes into play when making a move really is something that I factored into my processes and making sure that I can guide people in every step along the way. And ultimately, my only goal is to make sure that each and every person that makes that move, that they're being looked after to make sure that their interests are being served at the very highest level possible. And let's be honest, if I did not live here in the state of Utah and I were making the move, these are the exact things that I would want to know prior to making the move based on my many years of experience of living here. So with that said, let's roll. All right, so let's talk about the 7 things that you're going to want to know before making the move to Utah. But before we do, if we haven't met yet, my name is Scott Steele, and I'm a local Utahn, and I absolutely love helping people discover all things Utah, including Utah real estate. And as a licensed agent here in the state of Utah, I love helping clients make that move. So if that's something you're considering doing, you can find my contact information below in the description or in the pinned comment of this and every video. So with that said, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that I want to address is the outdoors. Pretty much everybody knows that Utah is one of the best places to go if you want to live an outdoor lifestyle. And it's honestly one of the meccas of outdoors enthusiasts because of all the different variety of things that we can take advantage of, from the 5 national parks in the state to the high alpine mountain terrain to everything in between. We have deserts, we have salt flats, we have the red rocks of southern Utah. There's so much in this diverse landscape in the state of Utah. There's so many cool things to do and experience, whether that be world-class skiing and snowboarding or snowmobiling in the winter, or if you're looking for hiking and mountain biking and fishing or boating or whatever you want to do in the summertime. We pretty much have everything, but Utah is so much more than just the outdoors. We have a thriving economy here in the state of Utah, and we have a really cool little city here in Salt Lake City that's growing up right before our eyes. And with that comes all of the different opportunities that come with having a little bit bigger city, but it's really cool that it's right next to the mountains. So we have the Wasatch Mountains tucked right up against the city, which means within 15 minutes, you can be right on a trail, mountain biking or hiking or doing whatever activity you're looking to do. Regardless, there's plenty of things to do in the outdoors in the state of Utah. And regardless of your skill level or your interest, you'll find something here because there's something for everybody. All right, next up on the list, this one's interesting, and that's something that you'll want to know about Utah, and that's the food scene. For the longest time, in fact, most of my entire life, the food scene here in Utah, for the most part, consisted of chain restaurants, and that's pretty much what we had. There were always some nicer restaurants in downtown Salt Lake City or some other places that are scattered around the state, but for the most part, most of our restaurants were pretty, lackluster to say the least. But with that said, in recent years, in the last 3 to 5 years, things have completely and drastically changed. The state of Utah has been the fastest growing state since 2010, and because of that, it's really grown up right before my eyes. And with that, the food scene has really changed dramatically here in the state, not just in Salt Lake City, but in the surrounding areas as well. Me personally, I love enjoying really fine dining. I love going to nicer restaurants, and I love avoiding the chain restaurants as much as possible and just trying something new. And so if you're looking to the state of Utah to be the world-class diverse cuisine that you might experience in other cities, perhaps like in LA or in New York or even in Orlando, Florida, which has a really cool food scene, you're not going to experience that level of food scene here in Utah, but you will find that there's something for everybody. I would bet that if you were to go out to eat 3 times per week, seeking the opportunity to try something new, that you could do that for an entire year and not eat at the same place twice, and you could probably have a really good long list of some of your favorite restaurants in the city or in the state of Utah. And as the state continues to grow, the food scene here is only going to continue to get better and better. All right, this next thing is something I get questioned about constantly from people that are looking to make the move. People typically want to come and visit first, and they're always really curious about the weather. Yes, we have extremes here. We have the hotter summers. We also have colder winters. But the really cool thing is being in such a high elevation state, which is kind of funny because Utah actually ranks as the highest elevation state in the entire country. When you factor in the overall elevation of the state, Utah is the highest elevated state in the entire country, including Colorado and Alaska, and some of the other states that you might suspect would be at the top of that list. With that said, we are an arid climate. We're drier here, and so the summers don't feel quite as hot. In other words, 100 degrees in the summertime here won't feel nearly as hot and miserable as perhaps somewhere back east or in the south. And on the flip side, the winters here aren't that bad either. Most of our winter days are typically in the 30s. We typically see most of our highs in the 30s during the winter here in the valleys, and sometimes that temperature drops down into the 20s, but it pales in comparison to the upper Midwest or back east, where you can see some much colder and frigid temperatures. With all that said, the weather here will provide a really diverse experience. So my advice is to prepare, to layer, and to just enjoy the weather, because there's so many different things to enjoy throughout the year. All right, next up, if I were making the move to Utah, I would really want to know about the homes that I can consider looking to move to here in the state of Utah. And in Utah, we have two things at play here. We have the existing homes, and especially near the city in Salt Lake City, you'll have a lot of older neighborhoods where those homes have been renovated and fixed up, or in some of the older neighborhoods that aren't quite as desirable, we're starting to see a lot of gentrification and redevelopment happening, which is really cool to see those areas really be transformed. But nonetheless, we still have a lot of older homes near the city, and the further you get away from the downtown area, typically you're going to find homes that aren't quite as old, or you'll find the new suburbs as well. But the thing that I really wanted to touch on is the existing home inventory here is pretty tight. There just aren't that many homes for sale. Right now, we're sitting at just under 7,800 homes for sale, and typically for a balanced real estate market, we'd probably want to see that number closer to 10 to 12,000 homes that are available for purchase right now. And that number's just really, it's almost cut in half. And so we have a tighter supply, which then in turn is making people decide to go to new construction, and that's fueling the boom. We are seeing a really big increase in new construction homes being built, and the builders here, quite frankly, just aren't keeping up. And so my job as a real estate agent is to guide my clients not only with existing homes, but with new construction as well, as it appears that over a third of all buyers are actually going towards new construction, and that's a big deal. So you want to know who the builders are, where are they building, and what communities are they building in, to make sure that we can take advantage of the incentives that we can lock down if you are indeed looking for new construction. Regardless of whether you're looking for existing homes or new construction, I have some incredible resources. So reach out to me if you're considering making that move. I'd love to just put together a nice map of the areas based on your personal interests and your lifestyle to make sure that you know where to go when you come, so that you're not wasting any of your time, and making sure that you find the areas that are most appealing for you and your family. And if you want to check out my channel right here, I've done many videos about new construction as well. Those new construction opportunities are real, and I find that a lot of my clients are actually gravitating towards that, and it's something that I really enjoy helping people make that decision to purchase new construction as well. All right, next up, let's move on. This is the next thing that I personally would really want to know, especially if you have children, and that is the schools. Overall, Utah is ranked number 5 in the country for overall education. Now that takes into account not only higher education, but pre-K through 12 as well. So that takes in everything into account, and it depends on the website you're looking at. Some websites will rank things a little bit differently. Other websites have ranked Utah as low as 13th in the nation, but it depends on the criteria upon which they're making that decision. But overall, Utah has some really good things at play when it comes to education. And two things I really wanted to point out here is that Utah has the highest literacy rate in the entire country, and it has the second highest SAT scores in the entire nation as well. So it appears that we hopefully are doing at least something right here in educating our children. And if you're like me and you're wondering about school choice in Utah, Utah is one of the best places in the country for school choice. And for me personally, it's really important, is I have 2 children under the age of 10. And so for me, it's really important to make sure that I'm putting them into an environment where they're not just getting by, but they're actually thriving and learning to develop the love for learning itself, because in my opinion, isn't that the entire goal of education? And in Utah, families and individuals have so many different options to choose from public schools to public charter schools, public magnet schools, online learning, charter schools, private schools, homeschooling, you name it. There's something for pretty much everybody here. There's hybrid options. There's so many different things that people are doing here in the state of Utah, and it happens to be one of the best places to be able to make that choice for yourself and your children and your family. All right, moving on. This one's a big one. This one is one of the top 2 reasons why people make the move to Utah, and that's the job market. And before I begin talking about the job market, I want to rattle rattle off just a few statistics based on the U.S. News World Report rankings in terms of ranking all 50 states in the country. Utah ranks number 1 in employment, number 1 in economy, and number 1 in job growth, as well as the number 1 overall state in the entire country. And last but not least, Utah ranks number 3 in terms of unemployment. If you're looking to make a move to Utah and the job market is really important to you, I think that's kind of just one of those moments where you just drop the mic, because that's a pretty powerful statement that Utah has such a strong economy and the job market here is growing along with it. But I wanted to touch on the 5 industries that the state of Utah is really placing effort into growing here locally in the state of Utah. And these are kind of akin to the Mighty 5 national parks. We have Mighty 5 industries that we're trying to attract here in the state of Utah, and it's working tremendously well. And first up on that list is advanced manufacturing. We're seeing all sorts of places pop up, especially in the more industrial areas in the state, which of course is bringing thousands of jobs with it. But advanced manufacturing is one of those 5 major industries that is being attracted here to the state. Second on that list is aerospace and defense. Utah has a really prominent footprint when it comes to aerospace and defense, both with the military as well as other organizations, other companies that are providing for the government and for contracts. So if that's something that you're interested in as well, Utah's a great place to be. And number 3 on that list is financial services. Utah has grown into a really big leader in terms of financial services as well. And that kind of goes hand in hand with a growing state anyway. But that is one of the focuses that Utah is really pushing and growing and attracting businesses in the financial services sector. Next up is life sciences and healthcare. The University of Utah is one of the leading research facilities in the Western United States and leads the charge in terms of life sciences and other healthcare initiatives, as well as the growth along the state of Utah and along the Wasatch Front. Healthcare is a really massive industry, and it's continuing to bring many more people here to the state of Utah. And of course, last but not least, number 5 on that list is IT and software. It's the tech scene. The tech scene here is booming, and along with that comes the nickname for Salt Lake City, which is Silicon Slopes. We notice a lot of places, not only in Salt Lake City, but down south of Salt Lake City in Draper, and especially in Lehi, which is just about 30 minutes away from downtown Salt Lake City. These areas are booming when it comes to the tech scene. So if you're looking for a tech job, Utah is probably one of the best places in the entire country. All right, next up on the list is when you make that move to Utah, do you consider moving to the city or do you want to live in the suburbs? And let's be honest, most people are actually moving to the suburbs, not actually to the city. But Salt Lake City, especially the housing market in Salt Lake City proper, has changed completely just over the last 3 years. In fact, the number of residential units in downtown Salt Lake City in just a 24-month period doubled. And so we see a lot of new buildings go up. We have high-rise living, if that's something you're looking for. Luxury condos, luxury apartments, places that you can purchase or rent. There's so many cool places to live downtown where you're right in the heart and the mix of things, as well as all of the restaurants. So if that's the lifestyle you're looking for, we have that. We also have the neighborhoods right around downtown, both in the avenues, the Harvard-Yale area, the Liberty Wells area, Sugar House, all of these really trendy, popular neighborhoods in Salt Lake City. Or if you're more of a suburban type of person, which is where most people actually end up, there's so many cool suburbs to the south, to the north, to the west of Salt Lake City. And we don't want to forget the amazing places up in the mountains in and around Park City. We have the Wasatch Front here where most people live, but on the other side of this mountain range, which is just a 20 to 30 minute drive, we have the Wasatch Back. And along the Wasatch Back, we have all these mountain towns, including Park City, and the lifestyle up there is absolutely amazing. Of course, the real estate prices are more expensive there as well, but I think no matter what you're looking for, there's something here for everybody. And so if you're considering making that move to Utah, let's hop on a call and make sure that I guide you and answer your questions that you have and come up with a map. When you come to visit, you'll have somewhere to go. You'll make sure that you drive through the areas that you need to drive through to find out what's perfect for you and make sure that you don't miss out on something, and make sure that you experience exactly what it's like to be in that area and find out what the best property is for you. So there you have it, the top 7 things that you need to know when making the move to Utah. You can find my contact information in the description below or in the pinned comment of this and every video. But also like this video if you like this type of content, and please consider subscribing. It helps me so much get in touch with more people just like you. And I'm posting multiple videos each and every week that you're going to want to stay tuned for if you are making that move. And with that said, we'll see you in the next video.